We need money to stimulate the economy. Big shows like Taylor Swift would do that. When it comes to infrastructure planning, Auckland has the long-term vision of a goldfish on Red Bull. The Harbour Bridge, built in 1959 with 4 measly lanes because, and I quote, "we didn't want to spend too much." Fast forward a few years, traffic was so backed up, they slapped on some glorified scaffolding, calling them the Nippon Clip-Ons. Now, Auckland Council has the same foresight with Eden Park. Councillor Maurice Williamson returns to defend the stadium equivalent of a Nokia flip phone in an iPhone 16 world. Plus, we will reveal the absolute eyesore in Auckland City that the council has deemed a heritage building. You're not going to believe it.
Financial freedom faster. Financial freedom faster.
If you like making money rather than watching everyone else do it, hit that subscribe button because the numbers don't lie. More investors are getting their New Zealand housing and real estate intel in 2025 from this show than any other YouTube channel. Morris, to stimulate the economy, we need to bring international acts to town. Why are you still endorsing that old fossil, Eden Park?
We're not going to fund Eden Park at all with ratepayers' money. We have no right to direct what it does itself because we don't own it. It's owned by a trust board.
Yeah.
So we have no control. But what we did say is we weren't going to back anyone that wanted to build a big new stadium down at the waterfront or another alternative stadium or grow other. We just said we are going to stay right out of this.
Are you involved in this one at Western Springs? Where
That will come back to us. That's going to go out to consultation now, as it has to. I heard Heather du Plessis-Allen on News Talk said, why don't they just say to the Mowbray family and the Foley family have all got these hundreds of millions, you can do it, you're going to spend your own money. And I thought, Heather, you must get to understand how the Local Government Act is worded. We don't have the right to decide that. Before any decision like that is taken, we've got to go out to public consultation. We will go out to consultation with the 3 options, the Ponsonby rugby team, the CSS entertainment one, or the Foley, Mowbray, make it into a soccer stadium that can have concerts. After that consultation is done, we have to coordinate it all back. We have to publish what the public have said in their consultation to us. We have very little room to move. And then we'll have to make a decision.
will we get a decision before the end of the decade?
Oh, you'll get a decision. You'll get a decision before the end of the council's term, which is October. You'll definitely get a decision on that.
Okay. Well, it's clearly going to go to the Mowbrays.
Yeah, and
you're kidding yourself. Of course they're going to.
What I want to get some of that consultation stuff out of the legislation, and I'll tell you why. The Minister of Finance makes way bigger decisions that affect your life than does any council decision. I promise you. Taxation and economic growth and employment. Yet the Minister of Finance doesn't even consult with his own backbenchers or her own backbenchers. I've been a backbencher and we're waiting for the budget. We get locked up an hour before in the room. The door gets locked. This minister comes in and says, right, we're all going into the House now for the reading of the budget. Let me tell you what are the main points. And you get told. No consultation whatsoever. Now, if you can run that for the central government, which I think has much bigger implications for your finances and your economy and so on, why is it that Auckland Council, if we want to do something like make a decision on what we do with our stadiums, have to go out for this unbelievably long-winded consultation process? But we do. The Act, the Local Government Act, is very specific. You can look at it, go onto the legislation website and read.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, I know. You need to be a bit sick to do it. So we're going to make a decision, and because we have to make a decision with open minds, I am certainly not going to make a decision yet at which one of those. They're all have
Well,
to be.
it has to be the Mowbrays one. I'm sorry, it has to be. Because everything, they've at least got billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say it, but I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Okay?
What's the old Francis Urquhart line? You might say that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, it's good on them,
But we didn't make a decision on Eden Park. We actually decided not to. In fact,
that's a good council thing. That's a good. Making a decision.
No, but I made the joke. But I made the joke at the day. I think they played it on TV. What is it we're actually deciding here? We don't own the place. We are not funding them in any way. Would we go to Tip Top Ice Cream and say, we don't own you, yeah, and we don't?
I know you're the Consulate General in Los Angeles, but that's the worst example of a city to compare Auckland to, because Los Angeles has no soul, just like Auckland has no soul. You're a councillor, how I was in Auckland on Saturday night. It's dead. It's dead because of that damn monorail thing that they're putting in, which they took out of Sydney 5 years ago. So that means 10 years ago. So that's why we're doing it. No one's going to go back into Auckland. We've all changed our habits.
I think that's right.
We have changed our habits.
I agree with that.
Right? So the place is dead. It's never going to come back, just like Los Angeles. And the only way it will come back is if we put a bloody big stadium on the waterfront and bring Taylor Swift to town.
Yeah, okay. And that may happen. If someone wants to build something down on the waterfront and build it themselves, there's no way we're going to stop them. There's no way we're going to intervene with them. There's no way we're going to do anything to prevent it happening. But I can't see when we've got $15 billion of debt, when we have got our rates going up high and still not covering our expenditure every year, that we've got any leeway to say, well, we will. So we're going to stay there.
But I'll tell you what, Morris, like I worked in Wellington when they got rid of Athletic Park, and that was the home of New Zealand rugby before Eden Park. Yeah, exactly. It was an absolute shit show, right?
No, it wasn't even that good.
It was terrible.
I went to some matches at Athletic Park when the rain was just torrential. The building was leaking. We were all shivering and shaking. I took an Australian minister and he wrote a letter back from Canberra saying, thanks for the invite, but never again.
Yeah, but the point I want to make is, like, I was the final broadcast at Athletic Park, right? Yeah. And I was first broadcast on Westpac Stadium. Yeah. Like, overnight. Yeah. People just loved it. Arsenal got rid of Highbury.
Yes.
The original Wembley, I was working in England at the time when they got rid of the 2 towers at Wembley, and it was terrible. And stop listening to the whingers. If you have any influence, we need a new stadium in Auckland so Taylor Swift can come to.
No, I have no influence over it, and I'm going to make sure I don't, because I don't want us to be bought into, oh, well, now that you've agreed to that, we'll need some money from council to help us. If you want to build something, we will help you with your consenting. We will help you with your building and structural consents. Don't you dare come after ratepayers' money to help you build a new stadium, is my view.
I agree with you.
And Eden Park, oh, by the way, we've got nothing to do with you. If the government wants to fund you some more, that's up to them. I think they probably won't, but we can't. So the decision we made was to not make a decision.
It's just so council-like.
No, I was behind that. I thought it was the best. We stay right out of it. Why would you go to it, as I was just saying before, why would you go to a company, let's say Fisher & Paykel? We don't own it. We don't fund it. And say, we've decided, Fisher & Paykel, you need to be in a big building over there and we're going to build a big building for you. They'd look at you and say, so you are again, you're the Auckland Council, are you? What's it got to do with you? Same thing with Eden Park. We don't own it. We don't fund it. It's got nothing to do with us.
Just a reminder, your competition has already subscribed to the fastest growing property and investment channel in New Zealand. That means they're getting their insights first, making the moves first, and locking in profits while you're still debating whether to click a button. Be smart, subscribe. All right, let's have a look very quickly at this Kainga Ora story, seeing on Radio New Zealand saying that Kainga Ora can't subdivide a $4 million Ponsonby State House property without council permission.
Oh, look, some of what goes on in council's rules and regulations, when we make something a heritage property, I want to know that it's truly a heritage property. For example, the ferry buildings at the bottom of town or the Auckland Town Hall. But we have gone to some pieces of junk that don't literally deserve anything, and we've put a heritage status on it. You can't do that to that thing. And you say, hang on, whoa. Now, the most classic that any of your viewers would love to go and have a look at is there's a thing called the Civic Administration Building. It's in the Aotea Square beside the Town Hall. It's a huge 23-storey grey square.
That used to be the council building.
That was the old council building.
Yeah, right. It's ugly as hell.
We got out of it ugly. It's just a square piece of monolithic.
So that's a heritage building.
Not only is it a heritage building, it meant that when the council, when they got out of it, they wanted to sell it. Do you know what they got for it? Do you know what they got for that 23-storey building and 5 acres of land around it? $3 million. Because the new developer couldn't do anything with it. I mean, the real answer would have been to rip that. It's
probably full of asbestos.
Oh, yeah, it was. But it would have gladdened the heart of any apparatchik from the Czechoslovakian Communist Party saying, oh, we've got the great building. It is great, straight and black and grey and very good. It is the most soulless, awful, ghastly. Awesome. And a developer could have put a phenomenal, but it's got a heritage status. And the council, I wasn't there, but nearly all the ones that are still there voted happily to make it a heritage building. And then when they went to sell it, they got $3 million. Well, no, that's not quite true. Guess what? There's a clause in there that it doesn't get paid for until the last unit is sold. The last unit is not yet sold. So we've currently had nothing. We have had $0 back from the sale of that 23-storey building in downtown Auckland. $0. Now, how many people know that?
Well, I'm just blown away that it's a heritage building.
Well,
It should have been detonated.
Correct. It's a shocker. It's got no redeeming features. It's a square. You know, if you get up, you're an architect.
Look, I tell you what, we're going to put a graphic on.
You
I'll
put
put a graphic on if you're watching in Dunedin. It does look straight out of Eastern Europe.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's going on in this situation though?
So there's two things going on in some of these stories. The first thing is Kainga Ora own a lot of old terraced houses and old things like the picture that you've got right there. And they're saying that some of these things now, because of what's happened to property prices in the area of Herne Bay or Ponsum, they're $4 million now. Now, what should happen is that a buyer can come in and rip it down and put something beautiful on that spot. In many cases, that's prevented because of the heritage status that's gone on to stuff that has no right, in my view, to be heritage. But more importantly is also, what do they do to the tenants? Kainga Ora tenants are saying, I've been in this house 23 years. It's my house. Well, I'm sorry, when you went in there, you had 7 children. You had a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom and you needed it. In fact, it wasn't quite big enough. And now your husband's died, you're on your own. And you won't get out of it. And they're fighting daily in the courts.
But this is nothing new. Look, I remember my grandmother in the early 80s. She had a friend in Otara who had been in the same state house for 40 years.
Correct.
And they had to move her out. And she was appalled that they were moving her out of her house.
No, but it's not. That's why I was a housing minister for a very short period of time when one of our ministers left and I had to fill the gap for a while. I demanded from officials that they look at the changing name. I wanted it called transitional housing. I think if you're in a state-provided house, it's there to transition you from where you were in tough times and not enough to buy, and to gradually work with you to build up some money, get you into a job, put a deposit down, even if we fund you at a low rate of mortgage or whatever, and get you into your own property, because that's where you change the mindset of people and so on. But this idea, I've lived in a house for 40 years, it's my house, and you can't take me out of it. When there is a waiting list taller than the Civic Administration building of people desperate to get in, and there are people with 3 and 4 kids who haven't, and living in cars or motels or whatever. So I think it's time for a little bit of tough love to say to people, your property no longer fits your needs. We will move you out. We will find you a very nice property, a single bedroom, maybe a 2-bedroom.
So how do they do that though?
Well, again, it just needs some tough calls. You need a minister who's prepared to go in and take those tough calls. I think the vast bulk of the public would support you. I don't like the idea we're going to throw you on the street and you've got nothing.
No, you can't do that.
We're going to transition you into something that is more appropriate for your needs. You have no children left at home. They've all gone.
So when they sign up to, excuse my ignorance, when you sign up to a state house, it's open-ended tenancy.
Yes.
So surely that's the easiest way to fix it.
That's the easiest way to fix it, that you should be making it a renewable tenancy that renews every 12 months or every 3 years if you wanted to. I'd do a 12-month one. And you should say...
Didn't you say you were the Minister of Housing?
Yes, but it was only for 6-8 weeks while one minister who'd got sacked was gone, and then Key did a reshuffle and I didn't take it over. But I did already get the work started on it. I wanted to be the transitional housing, which would have meant you only got a limited time in that property, and if your circumstances hadn't got fit for purpose yet, we could extend it. But in the end, we've got an obligation to all those that can't get in to say to those people who have been living off these properties for so long and doing nothing about it, I'm sorry, it might sound cruel, but it's not your house.
I don't know if it is cruel. It's
not your house, but we will move you into something that will be appropriate. It'll be clean, it'll be nice. Some of the new units they're building, because when you build them as multitudes of units that are all the same, you can build them very cheaply. You can get a big job lot on the materials and so on, and you can build a unit that someone can live in with a nice living room, a kitchen, bathroom, toilet, and a bedroom, and they've still got perfectly adequate for their needs. Meanwhile, you've freed up a 5-bedroom house for a family with kids who have been living in a motel or in the back of a car.
Or can I politely suggest that whoever the housing minister is, whose name escapes me, why don't they do that now? That's another easy win for...
I would have thought so.
It's one of the easiest wins up.
Yep, I would have thought so too. Well, in fact, Chris Bishop is doing it. He's the minister, and he's saying we are now moving people out. I think this lady in the Herald's got a $4 million home or something, and there are plenty of $3 million homes. There's a lady that comes to us at council all the time saying, please don't let them take my home away. But she's a tenant for many, many, many years. She's solo by herself, no one living in this, and you've got people who are desperately in need. I think the government's role, if you're going to be in the welfare state, You've got to have a focus on trying to match needs with provision of service, and not just say, well, you can have that, and I know you've been there 40 years, so we can't really take it away from you. That is not your house. You didn't own it. You didn't buy it. You haven't paid for it. In many cases, you've had either no rent or a highly subsidised rent all your life, and there are families desperately higher in need. See, I think I'm more compassionate. I think it's a more compassionate. I get told, oh, you're a hard-nosed right-wing. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of those poor bloody families desperate for something and can't get it. While these are people sitting on a 5-bedroom house by themselves.
A final reminder, money moves fast and the investors making the most of it are here. This is the fastest growing property channel in New Zealand for a reason. If you don't subscribe now, just know that someone else is already using this knowledge to make their next deal while you hesitate.